What's up, and welcome back to Stirring the Field, the podcast for people who love sports and scandals in sports. Today, we have Taylor and Acelia and Sergio, and I'm Joy. I'll be moderating today's discussion. We have exciting things on the docket. So we have Acelia speaking on the most recent cheating scandals in baseball. We have Taylor here speaking on favoritism in the NFL, and Sergio, he's going to speak on things that are happening in the soccer world and all that jazz. And I'll be touching on some of the MLB drama. To start it off, we have Acelia kicking us off with the MLB. What do you have for us?
Well, today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how favoritism is just such a rampant kind of aggressor in the MLB. Most specifically with the Houston Astros cheating scandal, as well as the Red Sox cheating scandal, as well as the Yankees cheating scandal, which was not a scandal, but should have been. So as most of us who follow baseball know, in 2017, the Astros were caught cheating using a camera in the outfield, their video room, and a trash can. Prior to this, the Yankees as well as the Red Sox had both been caught cheating using their Apple Watches and using a phone in the dugout. And that's when MLB decided that they would send out a notice to all of the teams saying, hey guys, no more electronics for cheating. If we catch you cheating with electronics, using electronics to do any kind of cheating, we are going to lay the hammer down. So in that sense, it has been seen as, oh, the Yankees have cheated, but it was before that memo was sent out. So it doesn't count. It's okay. Which in all reality, if anybody else had been doing that, I highly doubt that it would have been treated the same way. The Yankees just have this very rampant history of getting away with things that no other team would get away with. And so do the Red Sox. For instance, within this same scandal, when the report came out early last year, I believe it was, or early this year.
Earlier this year.
Yeah, I think it was. When the Astros report came out earlier this year, it was a major blowout within the sports community. It didn't matter if you liked baseball, if you watched baseball, if you weren't even a baseball fan, you knew about it. You may not have known all the details about it, but you knew it was going on. You knew that it was a big deal. Probably the biggest deal since the Black Sox. However, when it went on to be the Red Sox turn to be investigated, not a peep. Nobody got the 20, 30 page report from the commissioner that they did whenever the Astros report came out. Nobody heard anything about any of the repercussions that the Red Sox got, aside from Alex Cora being fired, which actually came before the investigation even started. Came as a result of the Astros investigation. So just a lot of instances of Northeastern teams that were part of the founding league being treated better than smaller teams with smaller markets. And, in that sense, we were the underdog. We'd only been to the World Series one time before 2017, and we completely were destroyed by the White Sox. But yeah, and then, in addition to this specific cheating scandal, it can also be seen within kind of the fan community as well. When you look at the kind of HGH scandals from the early 2000s, as well as looking at Alex Rodriguez and him admitting to using performance-enhancing drugs. A lot of his popularity and celebrity did not go anywhere. You can still see him on ESPN reporting on baseball games, whereas Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte, when was the last time you heard from either of them?
Oh,
so yeah, just interesting things to think about.
Go ahead, Sergio. Were you going to say something?
I just like, because she's like, "What have you heard of them?" I was like, "I don't even know who they are." That's how much I had.
Yeah. And their time, they were very big players. Roger Clemens was huge when he played for the Astros, and he didn't play for us just when we were the Killer Bees back in 2005. He played for us for a very long time, and went to, I believe he went to the Yankees after we let him go. And that's kind of around the time that the Mitchell report came out, and ever since. The last time I remember hearing anything about him was when the Skeeters first started back in 2012 in Sugarland, and he was playing for the Skeeters. And since then, I don't know what happened to the Rocket. I've not looked him up. I don't hear about him at all. But, you know, Alex Rodriguez, he's been out of the game for a few years now, and he's still a pretty big name in not just baseball, but in sports.
You know, something else to think about is that, like, Roger Clemens, like, still hasn't gotten into the Hall of Fame because of, you know, his scandal. And if you look at, like, A-Rod, he has, like, a really good shot of getting into the Hall of Fame, like, immediately. Like, they're gonna put him no matter what. And Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds too, you know, still has to wait to see if they're gonna get into the Hall of Fame too. So you can kind of see the difference.
Right. Play. Yeah. And go ahead, Joy.
Do you think it's because of the teams that they have been affiliated with? For example, A-Rod has been affiliated with the Yankees for so long. That's why he's gained his favoritism in the MLB. And then let's just say Roger Clemens kind of started with the Astros. Do you think that plays a part in how these players are being viewed?
I think it does have a lot to do with the teams that they're on, because the Yankees, like I said, they're one of the founding teams for the league in general. And so that alone gives them a lot of celebrities, or not a lot of celebrities, but a lot of celebrity within our culture.
And they have like a major, like they're in New York. Yeah. That's a big market team.
Right. And so like people that aren't even from the US and who follow baseball, like they know about the Yankees before they know about the Astros. They know about the Red Sox before they know about, you know, the Mariners. So yeah, I really do think that it has a lot to do with that. Because people who aren't even from New York, you'll see them walking around wherever they live wearing sporting Yankees gear. You know, like that's just kind of the thing.
Mm-hmm. And like, for what reason? Like, why do you like this team?
Right. Yeah. Like, what connection do you have besides like it's like a celebrity team?
Right.
It's a huge immigrant thing too. Like they see it as like the whole like America thing, kind of like the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Like Cowboys are like the only football team known. Like you see like Hispanics with like cowboy gear and they don't even know what it is, but like for them it represents like America in that sense too. And like she said, like it's a huge marketing area there. But talking about marketing, also like I also feel like the Astros did huge in like their marketing afterwards, like after the team, because like I feel like they got pretty big that like even people from other countries, like I would see on Twitter all the time, like bashing the Astros. I was like, you don't even know who they were a couple years ago. And honestly, I think it was one of the most successful like marketing ploys that like I've seen with the whole like Houston versus everyone kind of deal. I thought it was interesting that came out from the whole ordeal.
I didn't even think about that. So yeah, like speaking about baseball and the Astros, like, what do you think? How do you think fans would have reacted if they did make it to the playoffs this year?
If they would have made it to the World Series, I think that, you know, I don't even know how crazy that would have gotten. I personally
made it to the conference championship series. They were like really pissed off that they had made it that far.
Yeah, like if you look at the MLB Instagram page from whenever they would post stuff for like leading up to the ALCS, oh my goodness, so many people were commenting like, take this trash off the page. I don't know why you guys have them. Like they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They shouldn't even be allowed to play. People were so angry. But I think for like the city of Houston, if we were to have made it to the World Series, I think it would have been a very validating thing, especially if we would have won. Just for us to be able to like, I mean, I as a fan, I don't necessarily think that there should be an asterisk at our 2017 win, just because the MLB found that we were only cheating in season. And it was in season prior to, I think it was prior to September baseball. So I don't necessarily think that we won based off of cheating. While yes, our season is tainted, and we don't necessarily know if we would have made it that far if we hadn't cheated. We do know that we did make it that far, and that's some of the hardest baseball that any of these players are ever going to play in their lives, and they came out on top without cheating. So I don't necessarily think that there should be an asterisk, but some people do, and for that reason, I think that if we would have made it that far and won, it would have been validating, and it would have kind of vindicated our win from 2017.
Do you think like people actually like care about the facts of what happened? They don't.
No.
They really do not care, even if it was like the scandal was like pre-playoff baseball. They don't care. They care about is that it actually happened.
Yeah.
I
mean, everyone wants a one-up, and even though you do, let's just say, have a one-up, your skill and your talent still has to be the thing that carries you through all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were skilled enough to make it as far as they did, even though, everyone does it. Let's be honest.
Everyone in especially in baseball, it's so rampant. Like
people steal plays out of the playbook from the other team. Everyone does it. It's just, I guess, technology these days and everything like that. They were just a little bit more over the top, let's just say. But at the end of the day, everyone does it. And when it comes to, how Anastasia said, the Red Sox and the Yankees, they just don't get as much hate just because of the position that they've been in for a really long time.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, for me, I feel like I don't know that I necessarily agree with thinking of sign stealing as a form of cheating. It's almost like if you could get into if you're playing checkers and you could get into the head of the person that you're playing to know what their next move is, you would, so that you can prepare.
Everyone wants an advantage over somebody.
Exactly. And if you can figure out, I mean, I'm not saying the way they did it was right, but if you can look at somebody's signs and kind of see how they're pitching and what sign that they did and put two and two together, hey, you need to be looking for this, and I don't think that that's necessarily cheating. That's playing smarter, not harder.
Right. Exactly.
I agree. Exactly. So next point that we're going to touch on is Taylor. You have some stuff that you want to bring up when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about, cheating or trying to get an advantage over your opponent is pretty much in every sport. You're trying to be the best you can while also trying to get into the head of other players and the other team. And the Patriots, they had their kind of scandals. They've had Spygate, which is when they, would videotape the Jets and, try to get an advantage over them and videotape what they were doing. And then they also have Deflategate. They've also been in Deflategate where the balls during one of the championship games were underflated, and that's technically an advantage over the other team. And the NFL really treats this team, the Patriots, they get punished, but also nobody really cares about what they do because they win so much. They kind of see it as, they were gonna win anyway. Oh, they're doing it to these random teams. Nobody really cares. They're a good team anyway. So we're gonna punish them, but in the fans' eyes, they don't really see it as a major deal like the Astros. People jumped on the Astros during their scandal, but they don't really jump on the Patriots other than being haters is what other people really think about it. And also like the Saints, if you think about like their scandal when they had Bountygate, which is basically them paying players on their defense to hurt the other team, like intentionally, you got paid for it, how much they got hurt. They had their coach suspended for a year. They also had their defensive coordinator was also suspended. They got huge fines, and that looms over their head, whereas on the Patriots, they just kept winning. So people really didn't care that all of this was happening. And you see favoritism in like other sports. Like I know we talked about baseball, but you also see it in football, and especially with these major teams that win a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots have been winning for so long.
Right.
And then I guess you could say because of Tom Brady. I guess you could say that. I mean,
someone would say it. It wouldn't be me.
Do you feel that way still, seeing the records right now for the Bucks and the Patriots?
I have many opinions on it. Longer than the 20 minutes that we have allotted for this podcast. I do think that how their team is handled might be because of coaching or players, or certain things could be because of certain players, and that's all I'm going to say, because I don't like the Patriots or Tom Brady. So
okay.
Yeah. You go. I have nothing to add.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, bringing it back to our point, the Patriots did have that scandal. We don't really know, the core of who it came from or who came up with the idea, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then the Saints had theirs. I mean, who do you think had more backlash when it came to just the cheating?
I think personally, when it comes to like the NFL, I think that the Saints did get punished more from the league, but in terms of like fan support, I think it's most like because people don't like the Patriots to begin with. If you talk to like people who are football fans and like don't like the Patriots or like have no like hold with the Patriots, most people will say they don't like them. So, and it was because of these scandals. So like in fans' eyes, the Patriots are like ostracized, and we talk about them, but in terms of like the league, I think that the Saints got punished more because they had to lose their coaches for a whole year, and they got fined a lot, and I think their punishment was more severe than the Patriots was.
Yeah, and I think when you think about it too, it is a little bit unfair because the Patriots definitely have had way more scandals than the Saints.
Yeah.
And they continue to kind of get off with a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just last year, they were caught, recording this Bengal sideline during a game. Like, and then nothing happened to them about that either. So it's like constant advantages that they're trying to do, if you want to call it that, or you want to call it straight up cheating. They do things like that all the time, and they're not punished as much as if it happened to the Jets or the Dolphins or someone like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Taylor. So now it's Sergio. He'll be going more international. Soccer scandals and kind of the drama and controversy within that. So what do you have for us, Sergio?
So today I'm going to talk about Calciopoli, which was the big scandal in 2006, 2007 of Italian soccer. So what ended up happening was that 6 teams were involved with bullying the referees into making calls favoring their way. This resulted in Juventus, who had won the Scudetto that year, which is the league title, to be stripped from the title. They gave it second place, which is Inter Milan, and Juventus was relegated to Division Two of Italian soccer, which I don't know if y'all know this, but Juventus is the biggest team in Italy. They won the championship 32 times. They were also caught of cheating the year prior, so they stripped 2 titles from them. So along with them, 5 other teams were punished. AC Milan, Regina, Fiorentina as well, and but they weren't punished as severely. They were punished financially. They were taking away some points starting the next season, but they weren't relegated. So I mean, what I'm trying to get at is the fact that Juventus, like I said, is the most winning team in Italy, and how when they came back to Division One the next year, like nobody talked about the scandal whatsoever. They talked about more about AC Milan and such. Regina's in Division Three now due to like the financial troubles that they faced due to that scandal when they had little to none to do with it. So just how Juventus has now won 8 titles in a row, and nobody's talked about how they were part of one of the biggest scandals in football history and soccer history, not just Italian soccer. Like you have not seen anything like this in any other country.
So how do the fans like? So do the fans still support Juventus?
Yeah, they do. I mean, like I said,
a lot of support with it.
I mean, they're the most followed team in soccer, and I mean in Italian soccer, and especially now with the whole Ronaldo acquisition 2 years ago. I mean, I didn't even like Juventus, and now I'm following them because of Ronaldo. So like it's just the fact that like a team like that, like AC Milan, would not have been able to pull off Ronaldo, like at all, especially after after 2008, they have been like in and out. They've been a mid-table team. When I don't know. I'm sure you guys have heard of AC Milan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, AC Milan used to be in the 90s and the early 2000s, or the whole 2000s. They were like the biggest team in Italy. They were overshadowing Juventus. So I'm sure like more people of our generation are more familiar with them. But I mean, AC Milan is not like they've been a mid-table team for the past 8, 10, 12 years now.
Is that because of the scandal, like specifically because of the scandal, or is it just like?
Me personally, I think that they face a lot of like financial trouble afterwards, after the scandal, because they were punished financially, but and after that, like I mean, I think we can see like Inter Milan being the only top 6 team in Italy to not be punished by the scandal. They ended up winning the Champions League 2 years later. Like I feel like there's a correlation there at that point. AC Milan hasn't seen Champions League soccer in the past 6 years, and they were in and out of them for the past 10 years. So I feel like we can see a correlation as the one team in Italy that wasn't punished. They ended up winning the biggest trophy in soccer, in the soccer world.
How do you think that, because you said this scandal, like it happened in 2006, so how do you think that did or didn't taint Italy's win in the
Come again?
So you said the scandal happened in 2006, and that's the year that Italy won the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think this scandal did or did not taint that World Cup championship?
I mean, 2006, if I recall, that was in Italy.
It was
France.
It was in Germany, and Italy won.
Germany. Yeah, you're right. But it was France, Italy, the final, right?
Let me make sure.
Pretty sure it was France, Italy, the final. Because that's the final that what's his name? Zinedine headbutted Gattuso, not Gattuso. He headbutted the player. Yeah. I think most of the Juventus players did not take part of that team, but I feel like it probably like filled the Italian people with anger. But like you had, I was also reading articles about how like half the Italian people weren't even supporting the Italian national team at that point either, because they were like so like aghast by the by the scandal, because like I said, this has been the biggest one in football history, not just Italian soccer. So you have like half the Italian people not even supporting their own national team. So I think like the Italian people felt like they had something to prove, especially those who weren't involved with the scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on to win the whole thing.
So
you feel like this was like a vindication kind of thing for themselves as a country?
Of course, yeah, as a country more than anything, yeah. Especially like I was reading other articles where the referees were feeling that it felt like it was it felt like it was gang wars for them, like they were just in the middle, like that's how bad it was and how intimidating it was. But like I said, like the biggest takeaway is the fact that like Juventus has like they I don't feel like, I mean, yeah, they were relegated to Division 2, but like apart from that, who else talks about it? Like everybody, that's forgotten history when it's not even been more than 15 years ago. That was the end of 2006, 2007. Yeah. So like, it's not that long ago. I feel like there's bigger scandals that happened in the mid 2000s that are still talked about, especially in the soccer world. And nobody thinks about Juventus when they think cheating now.
What were you gonna say, Taylor?
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Taylor?
Oh, I was gonna say, do you think like the support, because you said that Italian fans weren't supporting the team, do you think that most of the fan support was outside of Italy? You know, people who only knew of the name and didn't really care about like the other teams that were affected. So do you think that like the reason why they didn't have as much of a scandal was because of, you know, they had support from outside of Italy?
I feel that and honestly, going back to the whole Astros thing, I feel like everybody else hated Italy, kind of like everybody hated the Astros for, or still does, I guess. But I feel like they took that and were like Italy against the world kind of deal as well.
Right.
Where like they felt like they had something to prove, kind of how like how Anastasia said that if the Astros were to win the World Series this year, it would have been like it would have been what's the word I'm looking for?
And it would have been vindication for us, that we would have proved ourselves and shut everybody
middle
up.
finger to the MLB, really, basically.
So that's how I think the Italian people saw it. Like I said, everybody hated Italian soccer because, I mean, like there's corruption everywhere, but like that one was huge. That one was one of the biggest, like the biggest one in soccer. So I just feel like they felt like they had something to prove, and they didn't have any of the Juventus players in the team. So I felt like they had something to prove, and they just went out there and did it, kind of deal. I mean, along with the luck of Zinedine Zidane's expulsion, but.
Was that part of their punishment? Was that they couldn't play on the World Cup team, or they just weren't on it? Like the players on Juventus weren't part of the national team? I think the
players from, I mean, Italian soccer, like you rarely see Italian players outside of Italian soccer. So I feel like it was more of a moral thing, moral thing, that they didn't want the players who were just caught cheating and who were known for cheating, and like they didn't want them mixed up with the rest of the team who. Like I feel like that would cause conflict between them.
Yeah.
So I don't think the coaches wanted to mix them up as much. I mean, the only person is Buffon, but like I mean, you can never take out Buffon out of a team. Like, he's a veteran. He was the best goalkeeper in the world. Like that's the only goalie that's the only player you can't really take out. I mean, he's the one that ended up blocking the penalties at the end, so.
Okay, guys, so are there any last thoughts that you guys want to say?
Just go Astros, and we'll see y'all next season.
Awesome. I just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Anastasia, Taylor, and Sergio for all your thought-provoking statements and the things that you brought up. Make sure you guys follow Stirring the Field on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everything else that you could find us on, make sure to give us a thumbs up and leave us a comment below. And that is our episode for today. So I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.